These 3 warning signs means your son is falling behind. And before we get into it, guys, my name is Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of professional baseball between the Cardinals and Padres, spent 3 years at the D1 level and even competed in a World Baseball Classic, and now I help high school baseball players play in college. It's really important to fix these warning signs before they become an even bigger problem and before it becomes too late. So let's talk about basically exit velocity, arm, and 60, because these are the warning signs that are very easy to understand where your son is currently at. So as far as your 60, very simple, guys. We want to measure out 60 yards and run, right? All we want to do is run and see how fast it goes from 0 to 60. And ideally what we want to see around junior or senior year, ideally as soon as possible though, we want to be under 7 seconds, right? And this is going to be the gauge where a lot of college coaches refer to us as athletes. For those that are curious, my freshman year, I ran a 9.5 second 60, which I realized was very slow, and that's where I got to work. There was a fire lit under me when I realized my name was second to last at a specific showcase that I went to. I got that down to probably like an 8.6 my sophomore year. I went from 8.6 to probably like a 7.9 my junior year. And then I got down to a 7.4 my senior year. And that's nothing super crazy. I was a two-way player. I was mostly recruited as a pitcher, but I went to NC State as a two-way. And I wanted to get this down because I wanted to keep that dream alive of being a two-way for as long as humanly possible. And I got to NC State, and they let me take some at-bats, they let me take some ground balls, but I was mostly known as a pitcher. My freshman year, I was the Saturday starter, but I didn't really play too much. So that's just an area of the game that you need to be aware of where your son is currently at, and of course where he stacks up. Not saying it's impossible, but of course if your son's a middle infielder, we want that to be lower than a 7 second if possible to really emphasize that athleticism. So next up, let's talk about the arm, right? Because the arm we can really separate into a few areas: outfield, infield, right-handed pitcher, left-handed pitcher, and catcher, right? So these are the areas of arm that, come into play for a baseball player, right? So outfield, we have the curl hop. We have a lot of momentum already going to our throwing target. So we want that throwing velocity ideally to be like 90 plus, right? Because we have that momentum. Even if you're a mid 80s guy, with that momentum, we should be able to kind of pull down 90, right? That's the goal. And if we can get to that range, that's where D1 coaches are going to be really happy to recruit you. As far as infield, I'd say probably around 86 plus, because you don't have as much momentum. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, infield arm velocity isn't the most important thing, especially if your glove is really smooth like butter. And also if your ball to bat skills is up there as well. It's not the most important thing. Outfield, you definitely want to have a good arm, but also speed plays a factor, and your baseball IQ to be able to steal bases, things like that. As far as a pitcher, right? And if you are a PO or if you pitch at all, we want to ideally throw like 87 plus to be able to start getting recognition from college baseball coaches. Now, I will say if you're a lefty, this is where, like, in my opinion, if you're throwing 84 plus, you can still get looks at from D1 programs. The story that I love to tell is our Friday night starter, basically our ace at NC State. His name was Brian Brown. He's about 5'10", 150 as a left-handed pitcher. And he was a 3-pitch mix, right? He had a devastating changeup where he coupled that with his fastball. I promise you guys, he would pitch against guys from Florida State or Coastal Carolina or Clemson or really Miami. And he would throw a fastball after throwing a changeup, and it looked like he was throwing, no joke, 96 miles an hour, right? Because of his pitch ability and because he knew how to locate not only his changeup, which was his pitch, but also his slider and his fastball. He just was a really hard pitcher to face because of how he changed up speeds, went inside, outside, just knew how to pitch. Obviously that pitch ability is really important. So as far as catching, this is the area that I want to kind of go down, because catching, arm velocity has a direct relationship with your pop time as well. Ideally pop time, we want that to be like a 1.8 to 1.9 to really get some traction as far as, from college coaches. Now, to get to that 1.8, 1.9, we either have to have an incredibly quick transfer, or we need to have a decent arm, ideally around like 82 82 to 85 is going to be where we want to be able to achieve that. I would say anything less than 82, it is going to be difficult to have a sub 2 seconds pop time, just because obviously that incorporates your foot speed, but most importantly the time that the ball travels away from your hand and until it catches from a middle infielder. That's going to be the velocity that can shave off 0.2 seconds fairly simply. So we covered the 60, we covered the arm. One thing I do want to cover real quick is if you guys are interested in a little bit more on the recruiting guidance, guys, you can go ahead and grab my 7 steps on how to reach out to college baseball coaches the right way. That's going to be down below in the description. But getting back into the video, guys, I want to make sure that we get on track with exit velocity as well, because this is a huge area that really is going to help understand if your son is on path or if he's really falling behind, right? So exit velocity, we need to think about it in a couple of ways, right? Because we can hit off of machine, we can hit off of front flip, flips, we can hit off of the tee, right? And these are areas of exit velocity that can change because obviously, and maybe this isn't obvious to a lot of people, but the more velocity that comes in, the more velocity that can come out. And that's something that people don't realize. Tee, the input velocity is 0. Flips is like 30 miles an hour, right? And machine can get up to let's just say 65 as a comfortable machine speed, right? Where we're able to barrel it up without being scared of the pitch or it's throwing too hard, right? It's manageable roughly around 65 miles an hour. So off the tee, with wood, by the way, if this is all with wood, this is the easy way of standardizing our testing. We want to get ideally 98 plus, close to maybe 100 off of the tee, right? Now off of flips, we should be able to see a few miles an hour, maybe exit velocity higher, maybe at a 103 off of flips, and that's maybe a low line drive right back to the L screen, right? But now if we're hitting off the machine, this is ideally where we want to be at least a 105 plus, especially around our senior year of high school. So that way we can mesh into the category of a D1 caliber hitter. And this is where I think a lot of people fall short because their exit velocity, especially with wood, is maybe low 90s, maybe mid 90s. And to be able to get that extra bump, we really need to be focusing in on the gym to be able to focus on that rotational strength, because obviously baseball comes with a lot of rotational strength, whether it's throwing or hitting faster. So if any of this sounds interesting to you guys, and if you want a little bit more guidance in the Triple Play program where I focus on the physical, mental, and the recruiting guidance, you can always click the link down below in the description to book a call with either myself or a team member today to see if you guys would even be a good fit and if we can even help you guys out in this high school journey.